Alright, Dark Side of the Moon, week 34, Friday night, enjoying the backyard. I figure, hey, let me be somewhat productive also. So let's go ahead and get into this week 34 content. Let's go. All right, so my lead from the front. So my Bitcoin goose is complete. What I mean by goose, I look at all my accounts, especially accounts that I could liquidate fairly fast as kind of that golden, that goose that lays the golden egg. So I had a number in my head in reference to the number of Bitcoin I wanted to get to. So I'm there now. So sad to say is all my futures buys would be either DCA or if it hits one of my levels, and we'll get into levels a little bit later. That's why I go ahead and get in at those levels also. Let's move some cash into my brokerage account. See the market going down a little bit right now, so hopefully some opportunities arise, and I just want to be cash ready if those happen. And then also, just to plug, and I plugged this a couple times during this presentation is Mission Command 215.com. Soft launch. Been putting a little things on social right now, but I'm gonna probably do a harder launch come September. All right, so damn, I lost the whole thing over there. So week 34, while I was doing the slides for the newsletter, here's some things that stuck out to me. AVGO, so near the moving average. Did some math with the risk to reward calculator. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I'm looking at a 1 to 5 risk to reward. Meta downtrend, and that's always go down to, do you believe in Mark Zuckerberg? Um, real fast. So I remember when Facebook first came out, when I was in college, you had to have a .edu account, and it was the thing on campus or whatever. Then when I was in the career course, they went public. They had the whole botch going public thing and everything like that. I really didn't even think nothing about Facebook, like the back end of it. But then I watched I forgot what that movie was called, the social experiment, something like that or whatever. And I'd have seen how it kind of made Mark Zuckerberg look a little slimy, stealing, Facebook from the Winklevoss twins and everything like that. But, now that I'm older, that was a long time ago. I'm like, man, who cares? He took opportunity the same way that the Croc took the opportunity from the McDonald's brothers or whatever their real names was. And then, so I mean, the land of opportunity, and in the land of opportunity, you have opportunists. So that stuff happened. And again, the Winklevoss twins, they're not starving for anything either. So that's my little soapbox moment on Meta. But I say that all to say is we saw the rise and a continued rise of Meta. So do you still believe in Mark Zuckerberg? Do you still believe in his vision? Do you think Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you think those things are going anywhere? They're still trying to figure out things right now. And then I obviously stay in court in reference to the addictive practices of their apps. So we'll see where that goes. All right. So dark side topic of the week is going to be levels. And I think this is a good week to kind of show my philosophy and how I see things and how I deploy, my capital into the small basket of stocks and small basket of equities that I put my money into. So we were going to use example as BTC, Tesla, and AVGO. So without no further ado, let's get into that portion of it. All right. So BTC. We had a run up this week. It was beautiful, right? Now all the orange pill people coming out the woodworks and all this other stuff. I'm not an orange pillar. I believe that the dollar is dying or decaying or whatever, and I want alternate assets. So again, real estate, Bitcoin, equities. All I look at all that stuff as kind of Thanos with the glove. But all the orange pill folks, all the Bitcoin elitists started coming out the woodworks this week. So, but it provides a good example for this week. And why it's important to play your own game, run your own race. So again, until I forgot a thing where you could actually see my mouse move, I'm doing it by the numbers here. So with all my charts, I do support and resistance. And I try to do the support and resistance over 5 years. We talked about that already, right? Because again, the 5 year old analogy is I know some of the habits of a 5 year old versus a 1 month old or a 1 year old, right? So let's go with that. All right. So one is my support. Two is my resistance. And I've been talking about this for the last, what, this is probably the fifth or sixth iteration of this briefing, and how we seen that fluctuate between the 59 and 66. So as we see that in a consolidation phase, it behooves me to start consolidating or acquiring Bitcoin at that price. Now, mind you, I don't know if it's going to go down and break support and go down to the next level, down to 50,000. But that's a chance and the risk that comes in. That's a risk that you have to be willing to take or whatnot. All right. So now we see it bust through the resistance at that 66 level and it went up to 74 and even bust through that. Right. So now we're looking at the next resistance level around 79K. So with that, even me trying to get to that BTC number I had in my head, I end up having to pay an extra X amount of dollars because I didn't get everything I needed to when it was in that consolidation phase. So shame on me because I had the money sitting there, but I was just dollar cost averaging into it. I should have just went and did it, but you could, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Got to my number, whatever. Now I got that caution sign because what cautious me, look at that candle right there. That candle, without me looking at overbought and oversold, is pretty extended, right? So we got to look at that in the next few weeks to see if folks are going to start taking profit. Folks might have been underwater and now is up, and they want to start kind of taking that BTC and turning it into realized gains or whatever. So we'll just gotta wait and see. I normally don't like to see a candle like that. I like to see kind of step up because that's a pretty bullish candle, and and could be overbought also. So we'll see where I go with that. But again, that goes back to the thesis of this is levels. I had my levels between 59 and 66 to accumulate. All right. Now, mind you, my second level would have been 66 to 74, but it went through that. I actually got in at that level to get to my number or whatever, and it continued to go up. So, yay, me or whatever. All right. So, let's go to the next one. All right. All right. So, here we have Tesla. We talked about Tesla a few weeks ago. So, by the numbers, right? I forgot why the candle went down. I think it was earning something or whatever, right? But we have our support level in a 5 year month. And we see that the month that we're in, it didn't even create a wick. It went straight up. So that goes back into, I could have swore I put a risk to reward on here. Let me see. Uh, I did not. So, but again, you could kind of see the risk to reward. Mind you, could it break support? Of course it could. But mathematically, it made sense to try to put some money, especially if you're trying to accumulate shares for a lifetime. It makes sense to buy when the charts are showing us that they are at a relative low. So Tesla had a catalyst, right? They got approved for 5,000 robo taxis in Vegas. It's still rumors about it getting sucked up into the whole SpaceX ecosystem. So they do have positive news coming in. Now we're going to see what's actually happening with the cars, and the margins and, what's going on if they're going to have a new model coming out and all that jazz. But positive news came out, approved for some more robo taxis, which is a catalyst for the company. And as you see, and you can look at last week, so I didn't change that support level. It's sitting at that support level. And it's been there before. If you just start looking to your left, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's been there almost 5 times before. So that's why history doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So we just gotta wait and see what it's gonna do. Is it gonna go back to all time high? Is it gonna hit that resistance and buy the rumor, sell the news, and go back down? We gotta wait and see. But we can't say it didn't provide that opportunity to get in at a lower price. All right. All right. So let's go real quick. Missioncommand215.com if you want to do your own mathematics, but I did this one for you. So Broadcom, again, this is just the mathematics of Broadcom. They got some stuff going on with circular investing. They got an $80 billion debt deal and AI build out and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. This is purely off of mathematics, charts, technical analysis, 5 year, 1 month. All right, so let's do this by the numbers, right? So entry price, if I was to buy this today, sorry, I could barely see. If I was to buy this today, we're looking at all right, 368. So that's one. So you see the correlation of one on the Mission Command calculator tool, and then the 368 over there. So I'm rounding numbers, right? All right. Two is going to be stop loss. So for the stop loss, I'm using the moving average, and you see I got 346. So two is down to 346 or that turquoise line, and then I ain't gonna say take profit, but the profit target is going to be back to all time highs. So I'm using the where it's been before at the highest, right? And that's going to be 495. So if I let's say, and we're let's look at this as one share. So if I'm buying one share at the current price, and I'm going to say my stop loss is at the moving average, I'm going to risk $22. All right. My total reward is going to be $127 if it's able to get back to 495. So I'm risking one to make almost six. So 5.77, but almost six. So again, that's when it kind of goes to show where sometimes mathematics come into that. And if we look at the chart, it likes to respect. We only see one time where, well, maybe two times where it kind of disrespected that moving average or whatever. But that's why we have a stop loss in. So if it do try to disrespect the moving average, it does stop us out. We lose our $22. So for that, I'm gonna use this one as an example. I'm probably gonna let's. I got something for that. All right, example wise. All right, let's keep going. So. um this is Meta. So for Meta, same thing, 1-1. So 549, where's that right now? Mind you, Meta, I mean Zuckerberg, Meta, they stay in court. They fighting at once. They got found guilty of having practices that addicts younger children, teens, but they do that to adults too, right? It does open up the floodgates. So Mark is going to be in court forever. All right. Two. So two is going to be 524. So that's going to be, if you see that on the left hand side, that's going to be a level of support. And then I got three. It's back to the all time high. Is 796. So mind you, this 5 years. So you got to have patience. And you see for the last damn near year, it's been trending down, as we can see that. But do you believe in Mark Zuckerberg? Do you believe in Meta? Do you believe in Instagram? Do you believe in all the suite of products they got? And do you think they have an AI plan and everything like that? You got to ask yourself those questions. But it's trending down, obviously, and them being in court is not helping their situation anymore. But let's simple mathematics. Over one, we're just doing this at one share. One share, you're gonna, and if you're just gonna put your stop loss to the support, it's gonna be risking $25 in order to make $247. So you almost have a 1 in almost 10 risk to reward ratio in that. So, and obviously, if this is a long term hold for you, it behooves you to get in while the stock is in the dumps. That's if you believe in it and you believe in it long term. You see, it had a long run up, and it does been hitting the skids. So we'll see where it goes from there. All right, so that's kind of show levels with BTC and how I kind of have a tranche, so to speak, in reference to how I invest and how I get into plays. Well, obviously, when it's lower, I want to get in more. When it's higher, I want to be a little more measured in my investments. All right, so let's go. All right, year to date view. So I fixed this from last week. So yeah, we're down a little bit this week. But again, take a look at your TSPs, your IRAs, and all those products that are probably automated, invested for you, and see that you're at least doing what either the Nasdaq or the S&P is doing, and make sure HR ain't got you in some BS, because they will do that. And I'll tell that story one day later. All right, SPY. So again, just trying to take a 5-year look or a bird's eye view, and we see a little pullback, but still trending up. But you see, it's starting to like it's going to start to form a little range right there. So we'll just keep our eyes out to and see where that goes. All right, QQQ still in that range. Obviously, if it gets back to that 641, got confluence there between we got the old an old resistance becomes support. So we got that at um there, and then we got the moving average there also. So if it's able to touch that, maybe a good time to get to buy the triple Qs. All right, Apple, um, that's in the range, so nothing special there. I don't think any big news came out this week. All right, Nvidia ran up, starting to come back down. They have earnings on Wednesday, so we will see. As we know, this is one of my heavier holdings. We'll see where it goes from there. Going to need a hell of a catalyst. They've been doing all this circle investing, and they've been investing in all these AI companies and everybody that's kind of trying to build out the AI infrastructure in order for them to use their chips. So it's kind of like quid pro quo, scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of situations going on. So we will see where that goes from there. All right, Costco again, just showing, you know, week to week. it, it doesn't. It's my calm. Is it's my calm stock. You know, well, we got to see. We want it to run back up. Hopefully, they can start getting them tariff rebates, and hopefully, it gets back up. Hope it's not a method. So I hate saying that, but again, that's an anchor for my account that I know I'm not going to have a huge drawdown in any given day with Costco. All right, SpaceX. So we're just gonna, man, just looking at it, just eyeballing it. We kind of see a little range forming right now, right? So we kind of see this eyeballing about that 148 and what was that 136 right now. So about that 130, we see a nice little channel kind of going in there, and that's without me putting any lines in there. And then we also see a nice base if it does break that support down to the 104 range. So our baby is, starting to build his personality. So we'll see where this goes from here. All right, this one was a little bit longer today because I kind of, wanted to give some examples. I talk hella fast. I know that. So if I'm talking too fast, you're listening too slow. Nah, but any questions, let me know. Just wanted to get this done tonight so I could and then I'm finishing newsletter tomorrow. And it's a pretty cool night out here in El Paso, Texas. The moon's out, see a couple stars out, got my little lights hanging up in the tree. Shit, I'm ready to go lay in that hammock, but that's enjoying a cool little night right here. So enjoy whoever I share this with. Again, you can share the link out as you see fit. Um, More power to you. Hope everybody have a great weekend. And we out. Don't forget, Mission Command 215.com, a labor of love from me to you.